Hello, people. Hope you're well and welcome back to the Sanderson Show. Please do smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Welcome to the Wednesday night. Sorry, not Wednesday night, Wednesday live show. Some good topics to talk about today. Some intriguing stuff to talk about today. And we have to start with the one of the men of the moment at the moment. Topuria and Khamzat stole the show at UFC 308, and we're going to be speaking about Khamzat Chimaev. And if you're a Khamzat fan, this is potentially music to your ears. If you're a Strickland fan or if you're Strickland yourself, then boy, oh boy, oh boy, we need to have that conversation. Shout out to Luke Tanner. Me, him, and Jamie have a WhatsApp group, and he threw this into the group earlier on today. According to Radio Raps, Dricus du Plessis says he always believed that if something exceptional happened in the Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev fight at UFC 308, then it could affect his potential rematch with Sean Strickland next. He says Chimaev matchup gets him more excited than a Strickland rematch because he wants to be the one to take Chimaev's undefeated record. First and foremost, whether you like DDP or not, the guy's got cojones and he's about that life. You get some fighters who say stuff for clout and say stuff to, stay in the media and because it sounds good. DDP is that guy. Let me just take you back a little bit for history's sake. DDP, when Israel Adesanya was champion, could have fought Adesanya. He said, nah, look, can't do that. Quick turnaround. No, in fact, I'll take you back further, actually. DDP could have fought and waited out to fight Israel Adesanya. Do you know what DDP did? DDP said, nah, I want to fight Robert Whittaker. Everyone said, what the hell is this guy doing? He's going to get the title shot next if he just sits back and waits. But instead, he decided to fight Robert Whittaker. A fight that many, including myself, thought he'd get pieced up in and lose. What did he do? He went out and he stopped Robert Whittaker. Guaranteed himself a number one title contender shot. Then he could have taken a quite short notice fight against Israel Adesanya and fought him. And he said, nah, I'm not going to do that. Not going to risk it. Not going to do that. And everyone said, what an idiot. How stupid. Who steps in? Sean Strickland steps in, shocks the world and beats Adesanya. Becomes a new champion. Everyone then goes, DDP's an idiot. He's missed the boat now because they're going to do the Israel-Sean fight straight away. They didn't. Israel took some time out, stepped back, in jumped DDP. Who won the belt? DDP. Who then went on defended it against Israel Adesanya? DDP. Who is now calling to fight Khamzat Chimaev? DDP. I'm going to be real. The build-up and what he said about Israel, Adesanya, Usman, and Ngannou, not a fan of. I'll never be a fan of what he said and how he articulated himself. But I'd be lying to you guys if I said DDP won't win me round, man. I'm becoming a real big fan of the guy because of how exciting his fights are, his will to win, his never die attitude, and the fact that he says stuff like this. Me, Jay, and Luke spoke about this yesterday. Look, Sean Strickland, in my opinion, should have got the immediate rematch for his first fight against du Plessis, which was a split decision win for du Plessis. But he didn't get the immediate rematch. Israel Adesanya didn't deserve it. He got it, he lost. But for me, the division moved on a little bit. In fact, it moved on a lot when Khamzat did what he did to Whittaker. Now, I know there's some sort of an agreement Sean Strickland saying, but I'm sorry. I mean, you got to strike while the iron's hot. Why keep Khamzat out of the octagon for a sustained period? If I'm not mistaken, they're going back. The UFC is going back to Saudi Arabia on the 1st of February. You know where I'm going with this, guys. No surprises and no prizes for guessing where I'm going with this. Khamzat barely took any damage against Robert. He probably took 0 damage against Whittaker. We're in October now, almost in November. 3 months Khamzat would have Duplessis hasn't fought since he fought against Adesanya. He's had a break. He'd have 3 months from now as well. With all due respect to Sean Strickland, and look, he does deserve a title shot. But if I'm the UFC, I'm sitting down with Sean Strickland and I'm going, bro, you're going to have to wait a little bit. You're guaranteed next. You're guaranteed next. Regardless of the result, you're guaranteed next. But we got to do Khamzat versus Duplessis. We need that fight. There is no point keeping Khamzat out for this amount of time. Strike while the iron's hot. DDP wants to fight. Khamzat wants to fight. We want the fight. I'm not saying I wouldn't watch Strickland versus DDP again, but I'm sorry. If you're asking me which fight I prefer to watch, it's DDP versus Khamzat. It's intriguing. It's way more intriguing. I know what I'm going to get with DDP and Strickland. It's going to be a stand-up war. It's going to be Sean coming forward with that Philly shell stance, with the high knees, the marching style forward, throwing the jab, that probably one of the best, if not the best jab in MMA. Sorry about that, guys. I am back. A little technical issue, but I am here. Right. Where was I? Yes. Strike while the iron's hot. Make the fight. We know what we're getting with DDP and Strickland. Strickland's going to march forward, keep his knee high to block kicks, throw out the jab, a couple 1-2s. DDP's going to probably shoot for takedowns. He's also going to cut off different angles and be awkward with his style and hit you with stuff that you haven't seen before. I don't know how DDP deals with Khamzat. I don't know how Khamzat deals with DDP. Make that fight, UFC. And look, I'm going to go against the grain again, potentially. Volk was promised the fight. The winner of Holloway and Topuria. Topuria obviously got it done. In sensational fashion. But come on, guys. Come on. Does he actually deserve to get the next title shot? Forget about body of work. Body of work is sensational. Volk will go down in history, in my opinion, as number 1, 2, or 3. At a worst, number 4 as the best featherweight in history. But he lost to Makhachev by decision, a fight that I thought he won, but he still lost. He then came back, beat Yair Rodriguez. Then he turned around quickly and fought Makhachev, was knocked out. Then he was knocked out against Topuria. For me, having 2 knockout back-to-back losses, you can't get an immediate title shot. You just can't. It doesn't make any sense. And that's why, shout out to Diego Lopes, who came out and said, look, the fight I want to see, or the fight I want to be involved in, is against Volkanovski at UFC 312. And I'll play you the clip right now. Bear with me one sec. Because I think this is the fight that should be made. I think it makes all the sense in the world. And here we go. Shout out to Ariel Helwani.
the UFC mentioned that they're working on a date for Spain. He feels that while this is all going on, it would make the most sense for him to just fight Volk in Sydney for the interim title. Volk has already suggested this. I've already agreed to it. Let's just do it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're saying the February event in Sydney, your suggestion is to fight Alex Volkanovski, and the winner fights Ilya for the interim title. This is what you would like. Do you think that there's any chance of this happening?
Look, sign me up for it. It makes all the sense in the world for me. Volk is the face of Australian MMA. If you're doing a pay-per-view and an event in Australia, Volk should be headlining it. But Ilya's not going to turn around that quickly. And rightly so. He's just had a tough fight against Max, which again, sorry, it feels like technology is really out for me today, and it's doing a very good job of trying to ruin my day. But I'm back. Where was I? Yes. Volk should be headlining UFC 312. No two ways about it. It should be the headliner. I know you can look at Izzy, you can look at Hooker. Volk's the face of Australian MMA. Ilya's not going to do that fight. One, why give up home advantage when you're the champion? And two, why take the fight on relatively short notice after just doing a camp and taking damage in the Max fight? I know he won the fight and he looked sensational doing it, but let's not act like he didn't take any sort of damage in that fight. Max was hitting him with hard shots. It was a tough fight while it lasted. For me, Diego Lopes at the moment is one of the brightest sparks in that featherweight division and had a fantastic win over Brian Ortega at UFC Sphere. For me, you put him in the fight. He has to have a fight with Volkanovski. And you do that for the interim belt. But I'll go a step further. You've also got Evloev and Sterling as well. That's at the end of the year. Depending on how that fight goes, and depending on what Ilya does, because look, I think Ilya should be fighting McGregor next. You've got two number one contenders. So let's say Ilya says, look, you guys fight out and I fight McGregor. The winner of Volk Lopes is definitely next. And then the winner of Aljamain Sterling and Evloev is the one after that. But if Ilya says, you know what? I'm ready to fight in June, potentially, which for me is a little while away. Then it's the winner of Volk and Lopes. And then the winner of that fight, so Volk Lopes versus Ilya Topuria, the winner of that fight then fights the winner of Sterling and Evloev. What I'm saying is there is a little bit of a backlog. But the backlog for me goes if you do a tournament style. So you have Sterling versus Evloev, and the winner of that fight is the winner of Volk and Lopes. That's what I think should happen, personally. But it seems like Volkanovski is going to get the title shot, which I don't think is necessarily fair. And I'm a massive Volk fan, but I've just got to call it how I think it should be. I don't think that's fair. But it looks like that's what's going to happen next. And ending with some unfortunate news, a news that we all kind of knew was happening anyway, but just a confirmation. RDA, who fought on the prelim against Jeff Neal and lost via TKO, has has torn his ACL. I think it was pretty obvious he did that. He's torn his ACL and will now be facing surgery. RDA, currently 40 years old, actually turned 40 years old at the event, which is so unfortunate for him. He was losing the fight. I think he would have gone on to lose the fight, but unfortunate that it ended that way. And look, I hate being the person to do this, but I'm just going to say it. RDA's got nothing else to prove in this sport. Having an ACL injury at the age of 40 and then trying to come back from that, you're looking at least a year out, and then maybe another 6 months to get match / fight fit. It's a year and a half. You're looking at almost 42 years old before return in the 70-pound division, where you're a big name and they're gonna feed you to the wolves because you're that guy who doesn't turn down fights. If I'm RDA, I'm probably calling it a day. And the reason why I say call it a day and leave with your head held high is I'm going to read off RDA's record. And it is nothing short of exceptional. RDA deserves all the plaudits in the world. And I'm going to read his record, guys. So I'll start from 2014. No, I won't. I'll go back further than that. I'll start from 20. Bloody hell. I could keep going further. All right. I'll start from 2008. Jeremy Stevens, Terry Etim, Clay Guida, Gleison Tebow, Evan Dunham, Donald Cerrone, Khabib Nurmagomedov in 2014 when Khabib wasn't even a big name. Benson Henderson wins the belt from him. No, he didn't. Did he win the belt from him? No, he didn't. He got a #1 contender shot off the back of beating Benson Henderson. Knocked him out. Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, Cerrone again, Alvarez, Ferguson, Magny, Lawler, Covington, Usman, Kevin Lee, Leon Edwards, Michael Chiesa, Paul Felder, Renato Moicano, Rafael Fiziev, Brian Barberina, Vicente Luque, Gamrot, and Jeff Neal. If he's not a BMF, and I'm not saying he is the BMF, obviously that's Max. Well, technically it's Ilya. But if he's not a BMF, I don't know what is. If he's not your fighter's fighter, I don't know who is. RDA's resume sits up there if anyone, and he for sure will be in the Hall of Fame. Has to be. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, it's one of the biggest crimes in MMA history. But it has to be a time where you say goodbye and you make sure your body comes first and your health comes first. And I don't want to see RDA in there just getting beaten up for the sake of it. He's an absolute warrior. He went out on his shield against Jeff Neal. A horrible injury to sustain. Very long road to recovery. Has the surgery, I think, in the next day or two. So hopefully that's all successful. But now, just call it quits, man. And you're not quitting on yourself. You're just making a smart decision. Sometimes you just got to do the right thing. And for me, this would be the right thing. So if I'm RDA, I'm saying, look, let's call it a day. I've had a fantastic career. I've been a champion. Almost became an interim champion in the second division. I fought a who's who. Never backed out of a fight. The one fight we never got to see him fight was the Conor McGregor fight, which is so unfortunate because I think that could have been a great fight at the time it was happening. But how it goes sometimes. But I hope he recovers and I hope he just rides out into the sunset, does some punditry work because I think he's got a great mind for MMA, and then calls it a day. People, I'm going to wrap up there. Sorry about the technical issues I had during the show. If you haven't already, please do smash that like button, subscribe. On the road to 3,000 subscribers. If you haven't already as well, click the links in the description, subscribe to Jamie's channel and subscribe to Luke's channel as well. I'll be back probably tomorrow here on the Sanderson Show. So any breaking news or anything like that, if there is any breaking, I'll be here sooner than that. If not, I should be here tomorrow with a couple of discussion topics. But otherwise, people, wherever you are in the world, have a fantastic rest of the day. Thank you for tuning in and see you soon.